All right, everybody, welcome back. Today is a different type of podcast. I'm with Mo and Adam, who you've all seen on
Well,
here, and we've heard from them. But this is going to be a tribute to Lucy Macaluso, and I'm excited about it. I'm a little nervous just because I know it's emotional. Maybe more, not to make it more for me than Adam, but the first time Adam and I talked about his daughter, we were actually supposed to be training, and I was like, "Dude, I don't even know if I could train anymore. Do you want to go get a drink?" It was like 8 in the morning.
yeah,
It hit me.
we were at
Yeah.
Firearms down at Fletsy, and
Yeah,
I think you knew about it, but like, because I told you before, because I
not the
remember you.
depth.
Yeah, yeah, because you
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, you got kids." I'm like, "Oh, well, I mean, we had one, and so."
Yes, that's kinda how it started, and then I am who I am, and I ask all the wrong questions and put my foot in my mouth.
No, you,
But Adam, you were
no,
very generous.
no, let
I'll tell you
Mo.
how I felt.
Yeah, okay. Well, Mo and the Street Tales audience, Tyler never put his foot in his mouth. He never said anything inappropriate. He was respectful. He was nice. And, part of the reason of doing this is I like talking about it. And it's like, I understand like other people that have lost their kid or like a family member don't want to talk about it. Sometimes my wife
Yeah.
and I, like more me, I love talking about her and
Yeah.
telling the story. And it doesn't, offend me, or like if people are like, oh, because I feel bad when I like people are like, oh, do you have kids? I'm like, well, my wife,
Yeah.
we did, our daughter died from cancer 2.5 years ago, blah blah. And then people are like,
Yeah.
like,
That was me, like,
now
"Oh
I
my
look
god, I
like
can't
the
believe I."
asshole.
Yeah. No, no, no. But I will say this, I understand both sides. I really do. I can understand the concept of both sides because 1, it's, something I can't put myself in that role. I don't even know how I would cope. But on the other side, it's like, that was your daughter, you know what I mean? So, she doesn't stop being your daughter. So I understand both sides, I guess is my point.
$10,000 cat may want to make an appearance. He's sitting
We
down.
Let him.
we're
Let
gonna
him.
touch on the $11,000 cat
Yeah.
too.
We
Oh yeah, that
are.
plays into it. So all right,
Here
Before
we go.
we
Go
before
ahead,
we
Mo, go ahead.
completely jump into Lucy's story, there were some things that you guys both just hit on, and I want to ask you, Adam. You said Tyler said I asked all the wrong questions, and you said sometimes I'll feel bad. One, are there wrong questions when people are talking to you about Lucy?
no, I don't think I've ever had anybody, so okay, no, I don't think anybody's ever asked the wrong question. Like some people are like, I had like, it's funny because, some people just didn't like really, not in a rude way, didn't talk to us anymore or like were nervous. But like, I remember my buddy, one of my good buddies, I mean, went to kindergarten with him. He's a firefighter up here. He's a great guy. I've been friends with him for Christ, 40 something years. And he's like, I didn't know what to say when everything was going on. I said, dude, you don't, I go, he's like, I'm so sorry. I go, don't apologize. You go, I said, it's not a natural act, someone losing their kid,
Right.
especially a young kid, losing a parent, it sucks, but it's kind of natural. Like you kind of expect
Right.
it. Maybe a sibling getting into an accident and dying a little bit, like it's not natural per se, but it's more natural. But like losing your kid,
Yeah.
especially like a young, like, 9, what Lucy was, it's not natural. It doesn't really, you're not
Yeah.
expecting it to happen. So
Right.
there's really like, I was never like offended by people asking. Like I liked when people ask, and I had buddies from the Marine Corps or like buddies that were other buddies be like, how you doing? And they would be like, then they'd be like, before I can answer, they'd be like, I know it sucks. I'm like, no, dude, I appreciate you asking. I mean, it's like, instead of like some people are being like, oh, look, there's Adam. I'm going to go the other way, not talk to him. Or there's Jimmy.
Yeah.
Let's not talk to
Yeah.
them. And like, that was hurtful more
Yeah.
than like people not saying like, so, how you doing,
And
So
that leads me to what you said. Sometimes when people will say, "Do you have kids?" and you'll say, "Well, I felt bad because I know I'm going to tell them something that makes them feel bad." Why do you have that feeling when you're sharing that information?
I don't know. I mean, it's just like, I feel like I'm going to put them because they were being nice, like making conversation. And then they're like, kind of like, it's like in the room, it's like they're the fun governor comes and like the party gets broken up. You're like, oh
Yeah.
shit. Some guys and gals, some people are really like, they don't mind talking about it. Some people you can tell are like uncomfortable talking
Right.
about it, which is understandable. I'm not going to hold it
Mhm.
against them. Like, I mean, why would I get mad at someone? Like someone's asked, oh, do you have kids? I'm like, nah, we lost our daughter 2.5 years ago when she was 9 to cancer. And
Right.
some people are like, wow, like,
Uh-huh.
it's like, I think back, like I'm 51 now, and I think back if like that was me in my 40s or my 30s, I'd be like, yeah, I gotta go. I think there's a bar open somewhere or something like that.
Right.
Like it'd be something weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So I
Well,
didn't
let's
want
get
to.
into it.
I want to
No,
get
go ahead.
into it, but I wanted to get clarity on those two things because I think
yeah,
a lot
no,
of times, like you
absolutely.
said, people don't know what to say, and so they do avoid you, and they don't realize that that could be much more hurtful than just sometimes
Yeah.
just sitting in it with the person.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
That's I would say that's like the most hurtful. He's around here. He's playing with the spring now. The cat. That's the most hurtful thing. Like well, when we get later into it, I'll tell you about more hurtful things. But like,
got
just
it.
not like purposely hurtful.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it.
But like, people, it's like hurtful, but it's not like they're doing it to like, I'm just going to say, Tyler, just you, I'm using you, but
Yeah.
it's
Fine.
nothing. But Tyler's like, well, I'm not going to talk about my kids or ask Adam any questions or anything about kids or anything like that. Like that's be like, okay, dude, it's like, I'm not a leper, I'm still human. Shit.
Yeah. That's
Got it.
fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, let's start because I like the way you talk. We have talked through this a few times piecemeal, and I'm excited to do this all kind of in one go. But could you could you talk through the thought process between you and your wife on when you decided to have children and how that all kind of came to be? You said it started around 2011 because you
But
were
yeah,
yeah
it
go
was like, so at the point, like 2011 timeframe, um, we were so I was going back with the reserves with the Marine Corps. That's the washing machine. I was just running a cleaning cycle because that's my, so, Jamie always said like she wanted to have kids and be a mom and everything. And I was always like, I don't know. Like I was immature. I wasn't sure like I could handle it and stuff. And I was like, I was what, 2011, I was 37. And, Jamie was like, really want to, start working on having kids. I'm like, okay, like, let's wait till I get back from Afghanistan. I thought I could, like, she's like, yeah, okay, understandable. But like, I'm not sure because like, I'm 37 and, I'm worried that like maybe I have a low sperm count or something. So I actually, before I went to active and then deployed, I went to the fertility doctor, and I'm not lying. His name was Dr. Seaman. Yeah, I'm not joking.
kind of fell into that position.
So, I had to do the test and everything. And he's like, yeah, your count's low and everything. But he goes, we'll take care of it when you come back from Afghanistan. So like a year later, like at 38, it's 2012. I'm still nervous, like, because I'm going to say something next, after this, but like go to the doctor and, I have to, he's like, oh, I need a sample. I'm like right here, right now. He's like, yeah, there's a room for you and everything. I'm like, okay. So I go in this room and I'm expecting like some porno mags and stuff like that. There's nothing. Okay. And the door is a paper thin door. What I always like pointing out is because I had just gotten an iPhone. So thank God with the iPhone, I was able to pull up some
Materials.
materials and do it. But the problem is like I'm doing it in this office, okay? And I can hear a drug rep outside talking because the door was literally paper mache almost. Like, and I remember he was a little bit on the flamboyant side. I'm like, all right, dude, come on, shut up. You're killing the mood here right now for me. All right. So, okay. So
I'm
I
sorry. I
do
don't mean to
that.
laugh. This is so good.
I know. So I do it. And, I talk with Dr. Seaman. He's like, you good? You guys just need to try. So it was cool because I got home from deployment. And so we started trying. It was great because I didn't have to wear protection and I didn't have to, use the old spray and pray method. So we're working on it. But I was like, I was getting stressed out because, we really only tried for like a couple months and then it happened. But I remember like one time talking with Jamie and she's like, I'm nervous to have a kid. And I remember saying to her, I go, what if she has cancer and dies? Fuck yeah, I know. I swear to God, I said that. I swear to God. So, so we're doing it and it's the summer of 2012 and Jamie's, not feeling good for the summer. And I'm like, my dad was still practicing medicine. So I'm like, call my dad, go to the office and see. So she goes and my dad calls me and well, Jamie calls me. She's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what? This was like August. She'd been pregnant for like maybe a month and a half or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, the pregnancy set the stage for how Lucy was because Jamie was miserable during the pregnancy. And you have to remember, my wife's 5'10". At the time, she was like 105 pounds, maybe 110. She gained like 30 or 40 pounds. She was like, had no energy and everything. And I was a decent husband, but like still I was like, hey, what's for dinner? I don't like cooking. I don't mind cleaning. I don't mind anything else, but I hate cooking. She was still having to cook. I'm not gonna, so I was a jerk with
Absolutely
that.
not.
I'm not gonna lie.
Definitely a jerk for that.
Yeah. So, I was really nervous, and so she was, and, and then, so it was funny because Jamie had a C-section, and because the OB that we went to was this awesome Iranian lady. And it was funny because, Jamie's small, she's 5 feet, she's like, she has size 5. She just bought shoes the other day. She had to get kids shoes off of Amazon for her to wear. Okay. So the doctor was like, yeah, you're going to need a C-section because I don't think your hips are going to open up enough for, to do a natural birth. So we scheduled the C-section. So we go there that day, and like, the nurses are kind of like, oh, why are you having a C-section and everything? Like some women, Mo, you probably know this better. Some women have a C-section because they don't want to do a natural birth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people are like kind of giving us like Jamie more the third degree. And I remember, so it's time we go in there, we go in the room, and they have the thing up and everything like that. And some of the people were giving the doctor shit about it. And she cuts her open and everything. And I remember the doctor was vindicated. She goes, see, this is why we do it, because Lucy never dropped. So, she never dropped. So we got her out. And I remember, so we had the name Lucy already picked out, and we had this anesthesiologist, and he was fucking awesome. He was like, just this all around nice guy. I think it was Dr. Silverstein. I think it was, I forgot. And he's like, oh, do you have a name? And we're like, oh, Lucy. He goes, oh, hold on a minute. He starts playing the Beatles, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So literally, she gets born, and, it's, Jamie had the C-section. She was miserable with that, with any woman that's had one. And, I don't know, Mo, if you did or not, but it sucks.
They're awful though.
Yeah, it's painful. It's like, it's hard.
You're getting cut in half, so I can only imagine.
Yeah, they pick up the organs and they put them out, and they all like, the guy's like, do you want the anesthesia? He's like, you were in Iraq, you saw. I'm like, yeah, nah,
I'm good.
Shit,
different,
nah.
man.
Yeah, it wasn't
different.
my wife, bro.
Yeah, different.
So it's like, your whole world changes. Like, you guys know,
Yeah.
you have kids, and it's like you're like, holy shit. And so, we go, and so we're leaving. We had to stay like 3 or 4 days in the hospital, which is normal for a C-section. And I remember Jamie's staying in the lobby with Lucy and the thing. She's like 3 or 4 days old. I went to go get the car, and Jamie gets all, she's like, why are you leaving me? I'm like, I got to get the car so we can go home. And then we get the car, we go home, and Jamie's like, and she says to me, she's like, I can't believe that these people are letting us leave with another human. I'm like, well, yeah, she's kind of our kid, so we got to start doing stuff with her.
It's your
like,
problem.
I don't know what to do. And I go, you think I fucking know what to do? Like, So, she was an amazing kid. She never really got sick. She was like a fucking, she was like her dad, like a strong, like, and her mom, like a strong personality. We were lucky. We went to a daycare literally 2 blocks from our house, because Jamie went back to work after like 5 months. We started Lucy at daycare, and it sucks,
Okay.
but the place was awesome. I still talk to them to this day. It's run by an Israeli lady, but she took anybody, and they were just awesome. They just loved her. They were like, we're having trouble with, with the bottle, and Iris's mother, Manya, she's like, and she's from the Netherlands. She's like, oh, don't worry, we take care of it. Don't, and it's like, she sends us a picture the first day. She's got her, there with the bottle and everything. We're like, perfect. And they were very like, and they were always like, we don't babysit. We don't, like, I'm not, like, Iris was like, we don't take kids home to babysit them and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, we just clicked with them. Like, they really loved Lucy, but she was like always smiling, just running around. And I remember she had to be like 2 or 3 years old at this time. And our neighbor Liz we asked our neighbor Liz I think I was working, I was the detective at the time. And Jamie was working, and I think she had like back to school night or something. I don't remember. And I think I had to work, like I was on call, so I had to work like a mid shift or something. And we're like, our neighbor Liz is going to come get her. She's like, okay, send us her license and everything like that. She was like, it was like, you would think like Iris was like in the Mossad or Shin Bet or something like that for the security. So like Liz gets there, and she tells us and everything. She's like, yeah, I went there and they questioned me, and I didn't think they were going to let me take Lucy home and everything like that. So the next day I go to pick up Lucy, or And Manya's like, why did your neighbor, but she has this accent. She's like, why did your neighbor come? Well, I'm like, Manya, what are you talking about? She's like, we would have taken her home. We would have watched her. Don't worry about it. I'm like, I thought you said, no. We love Lucy. She can come home with us and everything like that. So that set the tone.
Adam, I want to touch on this because it was something we talked. I don't know the time frame, but because you said that you had this desire to go back overseas, and you had either just come out of the Department of State. There was a transition period for you where you were like, I want to be home with my family.
Yeah.
When was that time frame?
So I did the 3 years with state, and I was out in New York, and then I went to Iraq a bunch of times. If I could have stayed in New York, and I would have stayed with state. I would have went overseas from there and then just came home. I didn't want to have to bounce around, and it was also unfair because Jamie was, I met her on active duty down in Virginia, and then I get us thrown to the New York field office. So she'd been a teacher already 6 years down there. So at the time when we moved up here in 2006, it was hard as hell to get a teaching job in New Jersey.
Oh.
Now, if you have a pulse, they're like, okay, you can teach. But back then it was hard as hell. Yeah. And she got in a really good school district. She really liked the principal. She loved it. And she's like, I'll stay. But, she's like, I'll stay in the State Department, but, I'd rather not travel the world, but I will. And then I was like, I don't fucking really want to do this. I want to go overseas and come home, but I want to come back to the same house. I don't want to go overseas and then 3 weeks later, I got to move to the Sudan and then go back and then come back after 2 years and then I got to go to Moscow now and shit like that or something. I just wanted to go overseas and then come home back to the same house.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is at Department of State, Mo. They make you move every year, 2 years, whatever. I never worked there, but I know they talk about it a lot. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy town.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you said you were a detective. Was that a decision you made prior to Lucy being born or after she was born? That move to local PD?
Right. So I always wanted to be a detective. I didn't like patrol. I didn't like working nights. I'm not going to lie.
No.
It's like, and you someone gets donuts on their front lawn and they're like, oh, can you look into this? I'm like, yeah, I got fucking 4 other reports I got to type up or I got to go to a CPR in progress right now. I'll see, that's how people don't get that. And you guys know that you're both cops. You know exactly how it is. So I wanted to be a detective and I lucked out. I got it. So Lucy was born in April 2013. So I did about a year on patrol while she was and that that was rough because I only took 2 weeks off when we had Lucy, and then I went back to work and I was working nights and stuff. And, and it was tough because I remember 1 October I worked. It was October 2013. I was working nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. It was the 3-night weekend on the schedule. And Jamie texts me on Friday. She's like, I can't get Lucy to sleep. I'm like, all right, well, there's enough guys here. I'll take a vacation day so I can come home. So I came home that night, put her to sleep. Next night, and it was funny because this was actually the the first IA complaint I ever got. Was a Saturday night. I told the guy to move out of a fire zone. He was parked in a fire zone, and I don't know how you guys do it down there, but up here, someone's in a fire zone at night, I would put the spotlight on him, hit the air horn, and I would go like that, move. Yeah. Guy starts fucking yelling at me, and he starts his car. He's parked. I pulled him over then after that, and my fucking mic didn't turn on. The camera in the car turned on, but the mic didn't turn on. And I'm like, sir, what's your problem? He's like, you could show me some courtesy and stuff like that. I'm like, I just didn't write you a ticket. He's like, well, the way you told me to move, I'm like, the courtesy I showed you is not writing a ticket. I should have written him a ticket, but the mic didn't go on. So then it would have been, and I'm like, this guy's going to come in. And he did. He came in the next night. But Jamie texted me, that was at 8:30 at night or something. She texted me at 8:45, 9 o'clock. She's like, I can't get Lucy to go to sleep. I'm like, all right. There's the shift's full. I can bang out again. I can take a vacation or holiday, whatever. Came home and I remember I always gave her shit for this one. She's, poor Jamie was exhausted and stuff like that. Mo, you were mom, you know how it is. And I don't know if Jamie breastfed and stuff like that. I don't think she was breastfeeding. Yeah, she was still breastfeeding at this time. Yeah.
That's another job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Whole other thing. Yep.
And I remember Lucy was in her crib crying. I picked her up, put her on my shoulder. She's 6 months old at this point. I literally come out of her room and I take 2 steps on the thing and she's out like a light. You know, when like you can tell when your kid goes to sleep on you, they're like, put her in there. And I go, Jamie, I am the master. She, you know,
Not the time. Not the
No,
time.
I'm the same way.
yeah, no, it didn't. And then we watched TV for like 15 minutes and she's like, I'm like, I'm going to bed because I hated fucking nights because I still had to work Sunday night.
Yeah.
So I remember, so the next night that guy came in, I'm like, to the sergeant, I'm like, V, you got to, he's like, well, see what this guy wants. I'm like, this guy's going to make a complaint against me. He's like, what are you talking about? And I don't even know if the guy remembered me. Like, so he's like, yeah, I'd like to speak to the supervisor, please. And then like an hour later after V did it and everything, he's like, yeah, that guy made a complaint. I'm like, I fucking told you he wanted to make a complaint because I told him to move from he was parked in a fire zone.
Yeah.
And shit. So, you know, went through the whole rigmarole with the IA. And I remember my lieutenant, who's now the chief, he's retired. When the guy's in there, he's like, so the officer, did he write you a ticket? No. He goes, and he's like, so why are you here complaining? He goes, well, the way he told me to move from the fire zone, he goes, but the officer didn't write you a ticket. He's like, I didn't like how he told me to move. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? But
Yeah. You can't please everybody.
yeah. So, you know, she never really got sick. You know, she ate, she slept. I'm a big wuss. I'm not going to lie. We didn't like let her cry it out. I remember the first time that she slept through the night. I think it was December. I think it was either the 16th or the 15th. It was right around my birthday. I was in firearms instructor course for the state, not the one, Tyler, you and I went to. And I remember, I'm like, I can't do this anymore, Jamie. So I just put her in the crib and we let her cry for like 30 or 40 minutes.
It's rough.
And then never had a problem sleeping after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every night, put her in the bed, put her in the crib, out like a fucking light for 8 hours or not, or whatever. But before that, I remember, so like Jamie was like, we used to get her, like, she used to wake up like 11 or 12 or 1 and she'd want a bottle. When Jamie was weaning her off breastfeeding. And I remember, so like, and this is part of me being the wuss, like I would like go get the bottle for Jamie. I would bring Lucy to her, go get the bottle and stuff like that. And then I would put her back in the crib, or Jamie would try, and like, she would never want to like go back. Like, she'd be like, so I started taking her and going into the second bedroom. And this is part of the reason that I sleep in the second bed now, partially because Jamie gets mad when I say this, but like, because I snore and she used to whack me. So now I just sleep in the second bed, but like, I would just lay there with Lucy and Lucy would go right to sleep. So pretty much her whole life, Lucy slept in the bed with me at times. Because I'll go into this more like when she got sick. So that was it. And then like, I would try and put her to bed when she was young, and I would have to sit there in the and put her in, and she'd still be like this, and I'd have to do it and stuff like that. And I mean, Lucy knew how to play both of us. Like, I had to give her, like, Jamie would give her baths, but like, there became a time, I don't remember, when I had to be in the bath with her for years. She wouldn't take a bath unless I had to go in there. And like, and listen, I was in the bath with her up until she died on a Sunday. I was in the bath with her. I took a bath with her on Thursday. She was 9. You know, I know it's not normal.
It's your kid, man.
Yeah, it's my kid.
It's your
She's
kid.
dying and she wanted me there. So, you know, I remember like telling like the doctors, and they're like, yeah, it's probably not normal, but like, what's going on? It's fine. It's completely fine. So like, I would be in the bath
It's
with
your
her.
kid.
Yeah, I would have to spend like half an hour in the tub with her, and then I would get out and she would play for another 20 minutes. Turning, like, our water bills back then were like so much.
Mo, what I'm loving is, keep in mind, Adam is combat veteran,
Yes.
war, Department of
Man.
State, traveling, detective.
Dad that bathes in the tub
Didn't
with his
know
baby
that he
because
wanted
she
to be a
wants him there.
dad. Yeah, didn't know that he wanted to be a dad. I don't know. And he's a big old softy, and I love it.
It's awesome.
You know, the funny thing is, guys used to make fun of me at work because I never like, I would wear like khakis and a plaid shirt. I didn't get dressed up. I wore like kind of like hiking apparel. And I remember one guy's like, oh, you're dressed like a dad. And the other guy, Casey's like, well, he is a dad. And guys would be like, oh, you're dressing like a dork and stuff at work and stuff. I'm like, and then like, I never said I was the best cop at all. Okay. I was decent. But I'm like, and guys would be like, oh, this, and I'm like, I would be like, bro, you're a fucking moron. You left the laptop on the car and drove off and it broke. I mean, you're making fun of me when I'm wearing it, and you're a fucking idiot. You can't even do an accident report. Like, like, if you're going to make fun of somebody, like
Yeah,
have some skills to make it up.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember like guys would bust me and at the PD be like, oh, because I don't like sports. I sucked at them. I admit it. But I was never a sport. They're like, oh, you're a real man. I'm like, and I remember saying to a guy one time, like, how many motherfuckers did you kill? Like,
See, Adam's got the coup de grace. Well, Adam, I'll give you
Yeah.
one better. I played sports, D1 college, and people talking about it now. I'm like, yeah, I don't really watch. They're like, They're like, you don't care. I was like, it was fun, but no.
you're like, I did it, bro.
I got other things, dude.
Yeah.
But it'll blow people's minds. So
And
it doesn't
then I
matter,
watch
bro.
football every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes. So
But, like,
either way,
But guys would like I never, I'm like, yeah, I rather spend time with my wife and daughter.
yeah.
And, you
Yeah,
know,
nothing
and
wrong with
I
that.
remember, like, I don't have a big house or anything, but I always had a landscaper because I was in the reserves at the time. And part of it was like, especially when I was a detective, because I wanted to spend time with like Lucy and Jamie, like when I was
Yeah.
done. And I remember this one time, it was a Friday, it was a summer 14. Lucy was, you know, a little over a year. She was walking. And I was working like the 8 to 4 shift at the time. And I was one of the evidence guys. And this lady, I don't know if it was her kid or her son, he lost his phone and we had it. It was in evidence and it was 3:45. And the lady's like, oh, I'm like, well, you know, ma'am, I go, I can stay here to 4:15 to sign it out for you. She's like, oh, no, I can't get there to 6. I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, you can't come back to work. I'm like, no. I'm like, I can come.
No.
Wait, hold on. I can come first thing on Saturday really quick at 8 o'clock, right? No, I can't. And this night, she's like, you just can't stay. I'm like, and
No.
she was like giving me shit. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I go, no, I got a wife and daughter at home. I want to go see. I go, it's
Yeah.
not my fault. Your son lost his phone, you know?
Yeah.
And this goes back to Tyler. I
Blows
say it
their
like
mind.
every podcast, suburban white women, the bane of my existence when I was a cop, biggest complainers in the world, biggest complainers in the world. And I would like to point
Lord.
out that one of my other buddies who's I deployed with the Central Maori is a grunt, and he's a cop out in San Jose. And he's a Japanese guy. And the best is the first time I said that, he texted me, he goes, every civil servant, that's the bane of their existence. Suburban white women. It really is, you know?
Yeah.
Adam, you kill me.
Yeah.
I
No,
will
I mean,
comment.
like she thought she was like fucking specially in time. I'm like, no, like, dude,
Yeah.
I said, I'm already going to stay like 15 minutes. Like, I want to go. I'm not getting paid. You know,
I'm
I
giving
want to
you
go home and see
15
my
minutes.
family. You know, well, you guys, how many times do you guys remember from being a cop when you were doing like, hey, I need to get a statement and this and that. And they're like, oh, I can't go. And then they would call and make a complaint like a week later because they're like, oh, Mo or Tyler's not doing anything. Like, motherfucker, I asked you I need a statement. Do you know how an investigation works? So I know what we're going off of, like, you know?
Yeah.
So
Adam, you're better than me because I was like, if you ain't here 15 minutes before I clock out, because I have a routine that, you know, I'm out and I will be back in 2-3 days or whatever my shift says. But no.
yeah. Oh, I had that one time. I remember some old guy was like, oh, I was trying to like, Jamie was pregnant at the time. And it was like 2012. And he's like, oh, I've been trying to see you, but you've been on vacation and everything. I'm like, I'm sorry. He's like, oh, you're always on vacation. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I went to Afghanistan last year and into this year, and I just got back, and this is the first time to Manpower that I'm allowed to take time off. I'm sorry that I wanted to like take some vacation, you know, because I didn't get any time off in the summer. And I remember my buddy Tommy, who's like one of my best buddies, was new, and they were like, well, you know, we can make Tommy rescind his time and you can take his time. I'm like, well, I'm not a dick like that. Some guys would do that, but like, so I had like a lot of the fall and the early winter off. But I remember that old guys. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry that I like, you know, I'm getting in a tangent about fucking cops.
I know you're getting upset. I love it. Well, let's Mo, bring us back. Bring us back.
Yes.
Okay.
So you were saying that Lucy was always just a fairly easy kid.
Oh,
Didn't
she
get
was
sick,
she was an
but
absolute terror. Like, I think she had some form of jackal or Satan spawn in her. But she was like, she never got sick, you know, like a cold here and there. She ate vegetables. She ate. Jamie like loved making like little meals for her, everything healthy. She slept, you know, it was just, she was like, you know, she was a pain in the ass. She was a fucking kid, but
all
she
kids are.
was an easy kid. She was fun. She was just like, she was my partner in crime. hands down.
I
We
love it.
tortured Jamie together, so it was
So
2021, she was in second grade and, she was like, kind of like, what was she? She was 7 turning 8. She turned 8. She was kind of being like a little bit of a pain in the butt, like, and stuff. She was complaining about her leg here and there. And like, we chalked it to like growing pains and stuff like that. And, and so we're like, and then one night, it was like the first week of June, Jamie's like, I think we got to take Lucy to the doctor. She has this big bump on her left leg. And I look at him like, yeah, all right. So we go to the town over, they have like a pediatric urgent care. So we go there and it's still like the tail end of COVID. So only one of us can go in. Jamie goes in, the doctors look at it. They're like, oh, it's cellulitis or something. So they give us antibiotics. I'm like,
Steroid or
oh,
antibiotic, yeah.
okay. I'm like, I had cellulitis a bunch of times in the Marine Corps. That seems it because it's a swollen. So they chalk it out. I call the pediatrician, it's like a big place and there's multiple doctors there. And the nurse is like, well, you got to give it 3 days. So Jamie takes her like a week later. And the doctor, she sees this doctor. And she's like, oh, I think you're going to have to take her to the emergency room. She's going to need IV antibiotics because the antibiotics, because the size was still there. So we take her there. And that's the first sign that something's up is we get there and they never did an x-ray at the urgent care. So the ER doctor comes in, this female, excellent, awesome doctor, and the nurse there were excellent. The nurse is like, we're going to put in for an ultrasound too and everything. The ER doctor knew it was up. She didn't say anything. We were about 4 or 5 hours there. And she's like, you guys need to get an MRI. Do we need one now? She's like, the problem is it's like Friday night. Now it's Saturday morning at like 12:05 or something. She's like, no, you need it sooner than later, but it's not like a super rush. Should have really did it. So then she gives us a prescription. We call the next day and I was on TRICARE, the military insurance, and we give it to the place and they're like, fucking US health system. But there's also awesome side to it. Like, oh, you have the wrong code. I'm like, motherfucker. So I have to call the doctor, call the pediatrician again. I go there like two or 3 days later. We see a different doctor there. The one Jamie saw on Friday was a female doctor. We see this male doctor and he knew something was up. I get the thing for the MRI, make an appointment. At this point, it's 2021. My dad's been retired for a few years now. He was a gastroenterologist and, he was a doctor for almost 50 years, probably 50 years or something. I'm talking to him and the pediatrician place gave us like, oh, you should probably take a look, see about some orthopedic, go see an orthopedic doctor. So I'm on the phone with my dad. And you'll understand where I learned my swearing attributes from. And he's like, so what did they say? Like, well, Jamie took him to the doctor on Friday. And then they said to go to the emergency room. He goes, what? What the fuck? What stupid motherfucker? My dad starts going off and shit. And he he hadn't seen Lucy at this point since she had the thing. So he's like, all right, you know what? He hangs up, calls me back. He's like, and I had a list. He goes, go to this guy in Ridgewood, Dr. Avella. He goes, I used to work with him at St. Joe's and he knows. So I think we had to go the next week. I think Father's Day was that Sunday. We went over there and my dad tells me like months later, he's like, yeah, when I saw her bump, I knew she had cancer. I knew she had something. So then we go to the orthopedic doctor and, he's like, you guys have your MRI Wednesday. And that was Wednesday the 23rd. He goes, I'll call that day. But he called he's like, oh, how's your dad? I haven't talked to him. So he gave him my dad's number. Find out later that, my dad, he's like, yeah, he's like, Charles, I think it's cancer. I looked at it and I could tell from her walking and stuff. My dad told me this after everything.
Yeah. Right.
We take her to the MRI and we have to get it with contrast. This is where the Satan spawn comes. She did not like the IV, which, she's 8 years old at the time. And I remember,
like it now.
Yeah. Jamie comes out. She's like, can you come in and help? I'm a little worried because the MRI technician, you guys have all had MRIs. They usually know what's going on, but they can read it, but they're not like authorized to tell you.
Right.
So she's like, we really need to get this done. So we get it done and everything like that. Jamie's worried. We're at the park right by our house. We don't go to the park anymore. Neither Jamie or I don't like going to it anymore. Jamie's pushing her on the swing. It's like 6:30. It's June 23rd. The doctor tried to call Jamie, but her fucking voicemail was full. Yelled at her at that later on. But he called my dad to get my number. And then he calls me and he's like, yeah, it's cancer. He goes, it's a sarcoma. I don't know what type it is. I'm like, fuck. He's like, all right, what I'm going to do is, because he talked to my dad for a while before he called me. It's like, I
Yeah.
talked to the father already. I already called an orthopedic oncologist out of Morristown. This guy, Dr. James Whittick. He's like, your dad used to send patients to him. This guy's like legit. I got the goddamn Da Vinci of orthopedic surgery, oncology. So he's like, you're going to go tomorrow to them. They're going to call you. You're going to go. They need to do a biopsy, all this stuff. So Dr. Whittick's cousin calls, but she's like the nurse coordinator for the office. So we go next day, we go to the 24th. He looked at it and he's like, I need to do a biopsy. He goes, I can do it right here. And Lucy's like, no, 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 no. Lucy's like flipping and she's nervous. I mean, she's 8 years old.
Right.
So we have to admit her that night. So they can put her under the next day for the biopsy. So Jamie comes, spends the night. Jamie calls me texts me at like 5:30 in the morning. They're going to do it in a little bit. I get in the car and this is good having a badge. If I can take off, it's like 35, 40 minutes away. I think I get there in like 20 minutes because I was hauling ass. They do the biopsy that day and they're like, it's Ewing sarcoma. I'm like, I mean, what the fuck? I mean, and going back to this is the thing where I'm like, I don't want to have a kid. What if they get cancer and die?
Yeah.
So,
Adam, let me stop you. Let me stop you right there. Sorry. What was that moment? Again, I'm listening to you explain the story. It sounds like this went really fast from being,
oh yeah,
this is my life. I'm doing this with my family. It's all great.
23rd.
Dad, my leg hurts. Dad, my leg hurts. She has this it seems like it went real quick, bro.
Yeah, it was literally like the 23rd, we took her and I get a phone call that night and the world changed. The world legitimately changed.
How did that conversation go with you and Jamie? And Lucy, I guess, was it a family? How did you handle that?
So Lucy was on the swings. I talked to Jamie and I don't really remember. Jamie and I talked about it. And then I think we told Lucy that night or the next day, so I'll put in this, we told Lucy, we lied to her one lie during this whole thing. We told her everything that was going on with the chemo and I'll get into it, the getting an expanding prosthetic, having her leg carved open and getting a titanium thing, a cobalt aluminum put into her leg, everything, and the whole thing from the time that June 23rd to April 2nd, June 23rd, 2021 to April 2nd, 2023, when she died was 22 months. And she was on chemo the whole time during that. She did 5 different types of 5 different rounds of different types of chemo. And we never lied to her. The only time we lied to her is when she asked us, towards the end, am I going to die? And we said no. And she asked us literally the morning of that, when she's laying in her bed and she said, Mommy, am I going to die? And, Jamie's like, no, we're going to make you better. And we knew what was going to happen. The hospice nurse was there. I'll get into that later. So we told her everything. She's 8 at this time. She didn't really understand it. So we meet the oncologist and the nurse practitioner love the oncologist. I would, if something ever happened to her, I would murder whoever did it. I would take an axe and go through a crowd to destroy them. She's young, she's in her late 30s. And I was joking with her and, she went to Cornell, her undergrad. I forgot where she went to medical school. She's she's super nice, super fucking smart. The NP there with her Anne Marie, everybody there was awesome. And I was joking with her and I was looking at her ID. I'm like, are you sure you're a doctor? I go, I'm looking at this photo. It looks like you're going out drinking in Hoboken later on. You look 21, joking around. And people, this is a funny thing that we had. Because we got a lot of, not shit, but a lot of people were there's CHOP in Philadelphia, which is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is a very big hospital here. And then MSK, Memorial Sloan Kettering. They're big, CHOP's big children for cancer and MSK is big for cancer. People are oh, are you going to MSK or are you going to CHOP? I'm like, no, we're going to fucking Morristown. My dad told me this doctor's really good. These people know what they're doing. I mean, Dr. Lori, who was the oncologist, I don't know. This is just the one level of her intelligence. She can pronounce all the chemos, which is first off is the big home. I can't pronounce any of them to this day. so, we start talking, we meet them, and then, so you guys have to come in. We got to do, I think, another a CAT scan, or we had to do a PET scan. We had to do, because we had to do a couple of those. So
Let
this
me
is
ask
where,
you, Adam, because
uh-huh.
you've thrown out the type of cancer Lucy had, but I don't. Can you explain?
Okay.
I don't know.
So she had Ewing sarcoma,
Okay.
Ewing. It's actually a very rare cancer.
Yeah,
Only
that's what I
like
wanted to know.
200 to 300 kids maybe get it a year. And it's weird because it's predominantly in Caucasian kids get it. It's funny because you learn these things with cancer, because some
Hmm.
cancers go towards an ethnicity group a little more, I just don't understand how it, and they don't really know much about it. Here's the thing that's frustrating. The last um, treatment for it was approved treatment for it was they figured it out during the Reagan administration. So that tells you how much how much thought really goes into pediatric cancer. And so this is where I'll get into it, because so we do these scans and it's in her lungs too, they call us. They tell us it's in her lungs. Now it's stage 4, but they don't use stages in kids. So, but
Okay.
it's already metastatic. Okay.
Okay.
And they're like, oh yeah, we can fight it. I didn't look up anything about this cancer until after Lucy died. Jamie looked up a lot
That
of
makes
stuff. I
sense.
didn't want to look up anything.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Tell
hey,
me why. Why didn't you want to?
because I wanted to keep optimism, because I'm also like a
Got it.
realistic person. Because
Got
one
it.
of the, I'm like, I said the first time I met them, I'm like, do we have to start like talking about hospice or end of life care? They're like, no, we're not there. We don't think we're going to be there or anything like that. So,
Uh-huh.
so I just wanted to be prepared. And I'll go into ask me about the why I was so adamant about making sure hospice, we had that, in a little bit. So, so it's stage 4. So they have a protocol that they do for Ewing sarcoma.
Mhm.
Um, 14 treatments of chemo and then
Mhm.
radiation. So it's 14 treatments. So it's, the first one is like a 2-day. And then the next one, it's like every third week, it's like a 7-day or a 6-day. So she had to stay, we were living at the hospital during those times. And then in between that, she has to get surgery to remove the cancer in her on her bones. So that was November 9th, 2021. So she starts these treatments and stuff. So, you know, it it just, your whole life changes.
Yeah.
It's like, we had a camp that she was going to go to, and with it, we spent the summer going to the hospital, and then I didn't go to work. Jamie didn't go to work. We were very lucky, and I feel guilty to that. Like, I was lucky my job, I had sick time. My chief and captain at the time donated sick time. And then when the new chief came in, he was like, because I remember when he was the lieutenant did the scheduling, I gave him a letter from Dr. Laurie explaining Lucy's prognosis with cancer and what was going on and everything.
Mhm.
And he goes to me, he's like, why are you giving me this? I go, LT, I'm doing this to be on the right side. He goes, is somebody giving you shit about it? I go, no, but I go, this place. Somebody will say something and somebody will do something. He's like, you're
Right.
right. So I just want it to be like, if somebody said, and I'll talk about it now. So when we found out that Lucy's cancer didn't go away in her lung in 2022, like literally her birthday, her 9th birthday, they told us, she
Hmm.
felt bad, Dr. Lori calling us. And we were supposed to start radiation, but she started doing a different type of chemo. And I was going back to work a little bit here, but like, then I would just be like, I'm not fucking coming in tomorrow. I wouldn't come in, and I didn't call out and stuff. They knew what was going on. The leadership there knew what was going on. 2 of my fellow detectives told another detective, hey man, you got to tell Macaluso to call up and take his time, because he's going to fuck us, because they didn't want to have to work the mid shift when they were on call 12 to 8, or they wanted to take time off so they can not come in or take overtime. I said to my buddy, and he was he was the messenger. I go, you're fucking kidding me, right? I mean, I'm not going down the shore drinking. I'm sitting on the couch with my daughter, or taking her to the fucking hospital for chemo. Okay. Or, cleaning up her vomit, after chemo. I mean, this is the brotherhood in blue. This is why I get fucking bent out of shape. Not everybody was like that, but these are 2 fellow detectives did this. So I'm still bitter. I'm not going to let this go. I'm sorry. Like, I'll die in this fucking hill.
Adam, let me interrupt you real quick because during this time, Mo, just to tie some things together, Adam's going through all this with Lucy, and I have questions. I'll save them, but like, what was
No,
that
you can ask them
relationship?
whenever you want.
Well, no, I want to get through but you're going through this thing with your wife and your daughter, all of you. Adam still checked in on Vic and his wife Elise because they were going through their cancer around the same time period. Like
And
they all,
I felt fucking guilty because I couldn't.
Adam felt like he didn't do more, and Vic's like, Adam was one of the few people that actually reached out and checked in on me when a lot of his teammates and buddies did not. So,
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? How Adam's like, I didn't do enough, and Vic's like, you're like the only one that did anything. So all this was happening at the same time.
Yeah, and then and then it's weird because this is the thing. Like during when this is going on, you get like with some friends. Like I had dudes that I was in 1-7 with that I hadn't talked to at the time, like 20 years. When they found out, they're like, dude, what can I do for you? Like, I'm
Right.
like, and then like guys that I grew up with that were like fucking radio silent. Like I had one buddy, I'm not going to mention his name, like, and I think I talked about this, like, growing, like in my 20s, we had a house on the Jersey Shore, not fucking seaside like that stupid show. We had one in Manasquan, right? I'm in my early 20s and like my early to mid 20s. And then when I was in the Marine Corp, like going down the shore for two fucking reasons. One, to get as drunk as possible. And two, to try and fuck as many girls as I possibly can or hook up with as many as I can. Okay, that's it. I'm not going down there to fucking solve string theory and shit. Like, and I had friends, like some of my friends would be like, oh, you're so immature. I'm like, I'm fucking down the shore, bro. I'm drinking, like I'm trying to like hit on girls. All right. But my one buddy was always like, oh, this and that. I remember he called me one time. He's like, so-and-so's in from California. We're going out to dinner an hour. I'm like, yeah, I can't make it, bro. I got to take Lucy to chemo tomorrow. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you talked about how you were all fucking high and mighty, like I was immature. Like, I'm in my fucking 20s down the shore. I don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, who gives a shit? But like, now we're in our at the time my kids has cancer and you were like, you can't be like all Mr. Mature now and everything. You just go radio fucking silent. So
Now, with that being said, though, you said you had some military buddies that would come through
yeah,
and treated Lucy like one of their own, or I can't remember how you described it.
my buddy Bill Lombardo, he's a colonel in the Marine Corps. He's a MARSOC guy. I went to
Bad motherfucker, Mo.
Yeah, I went to TBS. I went to TBS and IOC with him. He's a Jersey guy. He prior enlisted, awesome guy, dude. He still text me like we still talk, but he would text all the time. He would send packages. I'm looking at a picture, man. So bear with me. I want to show you a picture. I mean, always him and his wife, Steve. They would always, I'm not. You know me, man. I'm not religious one bit. And I'm not a fan of organized religion or anything, but Bill is always like, I'm praying for you. And he's one of the guys I know when he said that, it was truly coming from his fucking heart. I knew that it like, oh, damn, there was a picture. Shit. Sorry. Hold on a minute. So my buddy, what day is this? This is February 28th. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. So
Yep. Got it.
Mhm.
That's
that's
good.
Lucy.
Yep.
That's like the Marine Raider picture. My buddy Bill sent that
Wow.
and he signed it. My first platoon commander in the Marine Corps, he's probably a 2-star general, and I was a 1-star general at the time, signed it. Like and Lucy, that's still hanging on her door.
Mhm.
He sent that, like she loved it. Loved like when Bill would send stuff like Lucy got because I mean the kid had cancer. She was miserable. She was going through chemo. She
Yeah.
didn't want to really talk to people like she did and didn't, but people would stop by. She's like, I don't know who the fuck this person is. I don't but my two buddies that one I was a cop with and his brother's a cop. I'm looking for more pictures. Even when she was sick and towards the end, she didn't really want to see her friends and stuff. But hold on, I'm trying to find this. Where is this? I apologize.
No, you're good.
They're fine.
Damn it. My buddies, Tommy and Matt, they're brothers and they're both cops in Jersey and they're great because they hate Matt hates cops too, just like me. We're just annoyed. That's what it is, just the backstabbing and shit like that. But Tommy or Matt would stop by and Lucy would get this massive smile on her face and she would always be happy to see them or to call them and stuff like that. Like, she knew good people. Like, the day Lucy died, I had like 2 friends I grew up with stop by. I don't think they knew she died at the time because my brother-in-law called one of them and they stopped. They're like, so-and-so are out there. Do you want to? I'm like, nah, I don't want to see him. Then like they had taken Lucy's body at this point, and I'm just sitting in a room, and then my sister-in-law Jen comes up and she's like, oh, there's 2 bald guys outside. I'm like, oh, send them up. That's Matt and Tommy. They came right over. Because I texted them, like, I said, hey, I just want to like give you a heads up. And they came right over and they did it. And they were there. Like these guys were like, went above and beyond, man. I remember I had to go to the funeral home. I was going to pick up the death certificates, and Jamie was coming with me, and Tommy was over that day. He's like, I'll come with you. I'm like, no. He's like, no, I'll come with you. He came, and like I had to step outside crying and stuff like that. It was just like, he's just supportive, man. He's just an awesome fucking guy. And his brother, Matt. Matt always makes fun of me because he's like, oh, you're going to quit this job. You're going to quit this job. And then I'm like, Matt, you realize I'm retired. And part of it is like, I don't want to deal with it because of Lucy. He's like, oh, you got to be an asshole, like joking around. It's like, you got to be an asshole and throw that at me and shit.
Yeah.
But that's like, so, all right. So we'll go back. So, it's weird because, we told Lucy she's going to lose her hair and everything like that. She was like upset initially. Like I took her into the city to get a wig. And that was like the first time I'd been in New York City in a while at that point. And I remember I'm like, fucking smells like piss and pot here. God, Jesus
Still
Christ. So we get her a wig and she never wears them. She never wore them, which is fine. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, I remember the guy doing his wigs. And he's like, he goes, if I don't mind, if you don't mind me asking, I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, she has cancer, this and that. Like, it was very nice. The guy was great. She lost her hair. And I remember like she had like this bouffant of her hair was held on by a few strings of her hair, like her hair. I'm like, Lucy, we gotta take this off. But she's like, it's itching. I'm like, you gotta let me. So I get it. I go, Lucy, do you want me to shave my head too? She's like, no. She didn't want me to shave my head. Like I said, I'll shave my head. I don't give a shit. She didn't want to. She got a little embarrassed once in a while with her hair, but for the most part, she didn't care. Like the second time, because her hair grew back, and then, and I'll go to something you brought up, Tyler. Her hair grew back, and then it came out again, and she's like, I don't want to lose my hair, but she's like, literally, she goes, I don't want to lose my hair. She's like, well, but you talked about like the feeling, and it was like, you always hear the story, you get these pits in your stomach, and I remember it was September of 2022, and Jamie looked, we had a CAT scan done, and she looked and it said like it's growing, the lungs, it's growing. And like, it was just like a twisting of your stomach, not your guts.
Yeah.
It felt like the stomach. And that's like the time where I'm like, I don't think she's going to survive. This is like, this has been going on for a little over a year. I'm like, I don't think she's going to survive. And we go back.
Did you and Jamie have a conversation at that point, or was this just something internally that you thought to yourself and you held on to?
We talked about it a little bit here and there. Like, we actually, like, we always had a good marriage before. It was even a better marriage during and after. I think I hear her upstairs listening. She's walking by. So I remember like a month later, it was around a month later, that's where the first hit with the $11,000 cat, we had gotten this third cat, Jacob, that she named. I don't know where he went.
He's hiding.
So there was something wrong with him. I grew up with cats, so I knew. And we ended up having to go to a special vet.
No. Hold on, Adam. Hold on.
You got to tell
You got to tell the story. Hold on. Well, I'll start you because you were like, hey, do you want to meet my $11,000 cat? And I'm like, what is this? Some sort of, and I'm like, one, that's ridiculous. Two, it was some special breed. He's like, no, it's a barn cat.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell my version. Yeah, you tell. Let me tell my version, and then you clean it up.
I also have a version.
Yeah. Because I was like, "What, dude?" Then you explain. Lucy wanted a cat, and you go to this barn, you pick out a kitten, whatever, and you're like, "Great." And then you realize it's got some problem. You take it to the vet. They're like, "Hey, it has this rare disease, whatever the fuck it is."
Wet FIP.
There you go. And the only thing is a experimental drug from Wuhan, China.
No, it wasn't experimental.
Or okay, well, it wasn't in the U.S. I call it experimental. It's not the U.S.
Yeah, so
and it's in Wuhan, bro.
I don't think it was Wuhan. Maybe.
Well, I'm going to say it was.
It didn't. It was in the process of getting approved in the United States. Then the COVID happened, but part of it was there's like variants of coronavirus in it. So it wasn't. So I
But then
go to
Adam has to go like deep dive black site Facebook. Like, hey,
So
can somebody help me coordinate this?
yeah,
Meet me in the
no,
back of CVS.
the vet does it. The vet tells me, he's like,
Yeah.
well, he goes, listen, he goes, this is terminal, but there's a Facebook group that you should join, and they can get you medication from China. Like he
Bro,
recommended.
this is for a cat, bro. But go
This
ahead.
is illegal. Sure.
So I go
Probably.
I go to the so Reddy spent like $2,200 that day because he had to get a fucking ultrasound. And this is the thing is I remember like Lucy's like, I don't want him to die. I'm like, oh, that's Kenzie.
Well, see, hold on, because you said when the doc said he has this thing, and you're like, Lucy, I don't know. You're like, I don't want him to die too. I was like, well, you got to drop 20 grand, bro. That's what you got to do.
But the thing is, you know what? The thing is I go, when she said, I don't want him to die, I'm like, oh, Lucy, he's not going to die. But I said to myself, literally at the time, I'm like, but here I am. I'm going to spend this money to save this cat, and I can't save my daughter. You're going to die. So I said it to myself. So we get on this Facebook group, and I ended up having to go like on the black market, like meet people, like places to get this.
Dark
and I
alleys.
had to give him a shot, 84 days, and he's fine.
Wow.
So I ended up spending like $6,000 on that, like with the ultrasound thing and buying medication and everything. And then, summer of 24, I'm like, Jane, you need to take him to the vet. Something's wrong with him. And she's like, oh, all right, because I had a duty that day for Treasury, so I had to go into the city. And she's like, I'm taking him to the vet because he just peed blood. She takes him to the emergency room vet. He's got like a bladder infection. That's $5,000. It saved him. But I'm like, Jesus Christ, Jacob. I'm like, you gotta fucking stop, motherfucker.
Yeah. Now the cat's living his best life, by the way.
Yeah, he's living his best life.
Now he's now he's like 400 pounds, and he's like, if he doesn't get fed right away, he's like, you haven't fed me in years,
Yeah.
So, but
I
like,
can't believe you're treating me like this.
Yeah. But so that was the third cat. We had a cat we got before Lucy got sick. And then my sister tells a bit about this black and white cat in November of 2021, and Lucy's scheduled for surgery. So I go look at it, and Jamie's like, don't come home with a cat. I'm like, all right, we're on our way home. Come home with this cat. She's like, because I was trying to tell Lucy, I'm like, well, Lucy, you got surgery coming. She's like, and she was crying. I'm like, fuck it. We'll just get the goddamn cat. So now we have that one. That's Miss Baker, that cat is on its own.
You have cats
program.
with human names, bro.
Yes.
We have Mackenzie, we have Miss Baker, and Jacob.
Those are all
I don't know
human
why
names.
Lucy came up with the name Jacob. I don't know.
You got to
That's
keep
how
it.
it goes. Yeah. It's a
There comes this point where you realize I don't know if she's gonna make it, and
Yeah,
you
I'm
talk to your
gonna
wife.
go. I want to go back before we go to
Let's
that.
go back then.
Okay.
Tell
all
me.
right.
She starts the initial chemo, and so Jamie and I like tag team at the hospital. I mean, Lucy's miserable, but she's really like, she really is good. Like, she's really strong, but like she has to stay there like from Monday to Saturday at times. And so Jamie and I tag team, each of us going, spending a night, then the next one comes. Like, we both didn't stay the whole time because as a caregiver, you gotta recharge. And people don't realize, like, being a caregiver is a fucking nightmare, man. But I mean, it's nothing compared to what Lucy went through, but it's like emotionally, like, dude, I was like 228 pounds. I'm like 195 pounds now. I was like massive. Like, I didn't realize it. I should have realized because my pants were all tight at the time. But
but let me interject there. You said being a caregiver, but I think being a caregiver parent is on a whole different level, because I feel like I was a caregiver for my great aunt. It was exhausting, but I don't think it's the level of emotional exhaustion that a father has when he's taking care of his daughter in this situation.
I mean, the only saving grace during this whole thing is Jamie, is being married to Jamie. That's the truth of the matter. That's the only saving grace. I mean, I always told the doctors and nurses, I'm like, we loved taking her to the hospital for treatments, like, because we like seeing them. The people were great. Like I said, I love meeting you all, but this sucks how we met you. But let me go back. So she starts these initial treatments, and it's like, she has to get the one cancer, doxycycline, I think. No, it's doxy, but it's called the Red Death because it looks red. And you only can give it a certain number of times to a person, and that's it. You can't, especially with kids. So she's getting this chemo. her hair is losing it. And then like, like the universe is like, well, you know what? I want to fuck you over even more. So then she has to get limb replacement surgery. So she has to get this expanding prosthetic put into her leg. Okay. They go in, they cut part of the tibia, part of the fibia out, take the knee, put this thing in that, if she survived, would grow with her. She would have to go get magnets, and it would be like it's pretty fucking cool. It was heavy because I got to lift it in the operating room when I brought her in. So we have that. So November, these are things that like a dad or a parent should not know, but I do. November 9th was the last day my daughter walked normal with all her appendages. And then, the next time she walked, she had her it was internal. Like, it wasn't like a prosthetic where they cut her leg off. It was an internal prosthetic. It was an expanding prosthetic. Pretty amazing fucking surgery. They said 6 hours. They did it in 5. But you're sitting there in the thing, and it's like, I remember, like, I didn't sleep. So I stayed November 9th with the surgery. I told Jim I would stay. I didn't sleep, because, she and this is like, these are like things that like people don't understand too. Like your kid's sick and cancer. Then like, my kid's getting morphine. My kid has a pump, the drip for the pain. Then when she gets released, I got to go get Oxycontin and oxycodone, and then I got to be lectured by the pharmacist. And I remember going to the one pharmacist. I'm like, I go, look at the fucking date. Like, I didn't say fuck because they were really nice. I go, yes. I go, it's an 8-year-old kid. I go, believe me, I know tons about oxy. I go, I'm a cop. I've investigated all the overdoses with this. But there's no way in hell that I'm letting my daughter get addicted to this. It's brutal. You have to get this stuff for your 8-year-old kid at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she healed, and then, we got to go right back into chemo. And then, we get like a scan in January, and everything's clear. Her lungs are clear and everything. And then we get a scan again at the end of March when we're done. And they're like, it's still there. So, now we got to do a different chemo and switch the radiation schedule. So we do that. She turns 9. I remember we went out to dinner on her 9th birthday, and, she has no hair, no eyelashes, like she lost everything. And I remember she wanted to go to this Greek place by her house that was really good. My sister was like, well, it's expensive. My sister was like, well, we'll pay for it. So it's me, my sister, me, Jamie, Lucy, my sister, my brother-in-law, Ralph, and Jamie's dad. We go to dinner. Lucy's not feeling good, so I take her home, and then she was tired, so I take her home. And these ladies were leaving, and they waved, and I waved to them. I get home, and then they had dinner, and they finished their dinner and stuff. And they're like, some ladies, those 2 ladies paid for us. It was like a $600 dinner, and they paid for our dinner, everything. So I'm like, shit, if I would have known, I would have gotten a couple of lobster tails. No, yeah. So she goes through the summer. She has a really good summer. Her hair grows back and everything. And then that September, we get the thing, and it's we had started doing Make-A-Wish, and then, we got that note. And I remember the one doctor's like, you're probably going to want to do the Make-A-Wish sooner than later. So we change it to Make-A-Wish, and Lucy wants to go to Disney. So we go to Disney. One of her friends comes. Her friend's mom comes. Me, Jamie, Lucy, her friend Norel, and Norel's mom. And we're staying in this Give Kids the World place. It's the only thing that sucked about this place was the food. Everything else was amazing. It's kids, Make-A-Wish, terminal kids like that are not terminal, but the food wasn't that great. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, it really was a magical place. And I'm not gonna lie, like, Make-A-Wish goes above and beyond, and Disney was awesome. So I got like the fat person wheelchair for Lucy and Norel, and those 2 did not have to wait in a single line. Like Lucy had lost her hair again, so nobody can say anything like, "Oh, why is she caught in the line?"
No, you can't say nothing.
There, you would get the side eye from some people, but I remember, like, we would go on a ride at Disney, and Norella and Lucy and me would be getting off, and like one of the Disney workers would be like, "Do you girls want to go again?" They're like, "Yeah." They would literally stop the people that were boarding, and they would get right on, like
as they should.
Yeah,
damn right.
Yeah, we didn't. Those girls. So like, I remember, like, I don't know if you've been to what is it, Disney Studios now? They had like the Toy Story, the Slinky roller coaster. It was like a 2.5 hour wait They went on it like 6 times in a row.
As they should.
Yeah. And
Good.
like, I'm like, I'm not going on it anymore. Like I went on space. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. But this is where it gets shitty. So we're there and it's Thanksgiving. We're down there during Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving night. Lucy's not feeling well. The next day she wakes up. She's got a fever. We got to take her to the fucking hospital because you don't know if it's an infection or something. So we ended up spending Friday to Monday in the hospital. We were supposed to fly home on Sunday. And again, like I knocked the U.S. healthcare system about the codes, but like we went to Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital, and we had an on-call doctor. One of the doctor we had wasn't one of Lucy's normal. He was actually a retired oncologist, but he comes back and he'll do like a week or so, like when another doctor wants to go on vacation. I think they get paid buku bucks, which they should. And this guy was awesome. And, I didn't get to meet him until like a few weeks later, or like a week later when we got back. But like, he's like, I'm going to call the hospital. They'll be ready for you and everything. We get there and I'm like, fuck, man, I'm going to a hospital in Orlando. And you guys know this, like we were in Kissimmee, dude. Kissimmee's a shithole. It's like fucking, I'm like, bro, I thought like, I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I remember I was going to get a coffee at like the Wawa or something. And someone's like, I gave the guy change. And then I come out, I'm like, dude, you just fucking asked me, bro. He's like,
in his defense, he didn't remember. So
yeah, I know. And actually, you know what? I think I gave it to him again because the guy was actually like, he wasn't a jerk. He was just like, I'm like, I mean, I was going through shit, but like, I'm like, I was pissed off, but I'm like, all right, this fucking
Everybody
dude.
who lives in Kissimmee works at Orlando, but they're not making big bucks.
Yeah.
No, they're still stealing hubcaps down there. So
yeah, it's like, I mean, Jesus. But the hospital was amazing. I'm not going to lie. The emergency room staff, the nurse, the doctor, and then she had to get admitted, because they had to give her antibiotics. And the hospital was fucking great. It really was. And, I'm on the phone with the doctor and he's like, I know Dr. Lori knows better than this. And like, he's like, I'm going to wait for her to come back on Sunday to clear you. So like, he's like, because I'm not comfortable clearing you guys to fly because of this. He's like, I'll wait for Dr. Lori. And, she cleared us and we were able to fly. Oh, I'll get to that. But the hospital was amazing. Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital was amazing. And like, this is like, yeah, I know the fucking healthcare system's fucked up in the country and with cost, but like, I mean, dude, it's pretty nice when you go to another state and you get the same level of care that you're used to getting. It really is like, you don't get this many places in the world. You really don't,
Yeah.
So we get released on Monday, and this is the time that I luckily I wasn't allowed to fly armed or have a knife because I would have fucking stabbed a TSA guy. So we're literally on our way. Like our plane's going to be leaving soon. I get to the front of the TSA line. Lucy's fucking bald from cancer. Like she, in a wheelchair. Okay. And the TSA guy's like, I'm like, sir, we have to catch our flight. And he's like, did you ask all these people behind you? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And there was an older couple, probably in their 60s or something, to be honest. They're like, we don't mind at all. I fucking should have got that. If I wasn't so pissed off, I would have gotten that guy's name and fucking made a fucking IA complaint or whatever against him. I was livid. I was fucking, if I was lucky, I was not allowed to be armed. Because I would have, you know what I would have liked to do? Take a lead fucking pipe and fucking just crack him in his nose. That's it. One hit. Maybe two to hear him cry like a little bitch a little more. Like, what a fucking, I mean, Jesus. Sorry.
So
go ahead.
So we get back, and then we have to do another fucking scan. And I remember, I think I was getting like an IV treatment, and Jamie's like, it's not good. I'm like, fuck. So that was a Wednesday. We go on Thursday. They're like, we have to do another chemo. We have to do this like sooner than later. So literally, I think it was like December 1st. It was a Friday. She had to start getting this is like a powerful chemo, because like they were like, the shit was like literally like growing. Like, I mean, if you put a time lapse camera on her right lung, it's probably was like, like the things. So this is December 2022. She has to be in the hospital again for like 6 days straight, but she's it was like one of the best months of her life during treatment. She was like, the IFOS was working. It was holding her off. She had an awesome Christmas, New Year's. We're on the third treatment, the third week-long treatment. It's the middle of January, and she has a fever and stuff. I'm like, fuck, it's growing again. Because at this point, we understood, like, when she had a fever,
Yeah.
it was the tumors growing. We get an MRI or a CAT scan, excuse me. And again, this is how amazing he is. It's a Saturday night. This nurse, Ava, who loved Lucy, was amazing. It was 10 o'clock at night. Her shift was over at 7 p.m. And she's there with Lucy in the CAT scan, making sure she's okay,
Mm.
above and beyond. I always told him, I wish I had won. Like, I mean, ultimately, I wish Lucy never died. But like
Of
a
course.
more realistic thing is, I wish I really won the lottery, like amount, because I told him, I said, if I win the lottery, I am paying all your student loans and all your mortgages off to all the nurses, to the doctors. I said, I'm writing a fucking check out. I said, you'll give
Yeah.
me what I need, and if I win if I win the $755 million, I will still do that. I will still pay their mortgages and everything off because they went above and beyond.
Yeah.
Well, so this is like where I talked about that like gut thing. So we go there, and it's like January 23rd or 24th. I think the 23rd, 2023. We go there, and they're like, and they said, they're like, it's time. We need to start talking about hospice. And I'm like, that's where and that's one of the other times where we lied to Lucy again, because Lucy asked, am I going to die? And Jamie's like, no, 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 no. We have to change chemos. We're going to make you better and everything like that. So, it was a kind of an abortion trying to get hospice because the TRICARE didn't pay for hospice. Thank God in Bergen County, there's Valley Hospital System. They have this thing, the Butterflies program, where they have a hospice that even if the parents can't afford it, can't pay, the insurance doesn't pay, they do it.
Why would insurance not want to cover hospice in this situation?
TRICARE does not cover hospice for children. So go figure. They're like, call the
That's
VA.
the wildest.
Yeah.
My mind's blown right now.
I call the VA, and the VA's like, unfortunately, we don't do it for children. We only do it for the veteran, or the spouse, or like a grown children. There's not a lot of children's hospice out there, I learned.
And I get that because, like
That's
you said,
true.
this isn't supposed to happen, but it does. And that hospice, like you said earlier, ask you why you were adamant about hospice, because there's a purpose behind them.
So
So,
I don't know about with you guys. I remember going to sudden deaths on the road. And do you remember like
mhm,
going to sudden deaths? And it
Mhm.
sucks. You got to call either the medics or like the nurse to come and do a pronouncement. Got to coordinate with the emergency. Like you're sitting there for, an hour or two, and the dead person's just laying there. And it's like,
right.
and I remember I went to a sudden death, and it was the woman. She was like 93, 94 on cancer. I remember it was my guy was going to start CPR. I'm like, dude, she's dead. I go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
give her some dignity, let's just, so we had to go through the whole rigmarole. And then the hospice nurse comes, and I remember she's like, oh, when you're on hospice, when someone's on hospice, we don't have to call the police. We take care of everything. And you do, this happens even if, I learned this after Lucy died, even if the nurse is not there. So I was adamant about getting hospice. I'm like, because we were not going to let Lucy die in the hospital. She would fucking haunt us for the rest of our lives. It was going to be here, and I did not want the fucking PD coming. And because bro, just think about when you guys were on the road. Do you really want to go to a
Yeah.
fucking 9-year-old kid? Like, no, like and we all been there on calls where like the fucking dude, I'm not happy being here. You don't. I understand you're hurting, but you don't have to be. And that was the thing. I was never like a fucking jerk to people. Like I was always nice
Right.
to the doctors, the nurses, and everything, because they see this all the time and
Right.
shit. But that's why I was adamant about hospice. So we started doing hospice, bouncing around a little. So
Okay.
That's okay.
we started.
I do want to go back when you said, okay, Jamie calls you and says it's not good. And you guys don't, you make the choice at that point as the parents to not tell Lucy how bad it is. But
Yeah, yeah.
what
No,
is the conversation?
we never said.
No.
We told her it was there, but we never said that you were gonna die.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
was that something you and Jamie talked about? Like you were
Yes,
not
that's
going
what
to
I
do
was going to
that?
say.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like a lot of things we didn't talk about that we just knew. Like I remember like the Friday before Lucy died, the hospice nurse and the social worker was here, and we're sitting at the kitchen table, the dining room table, and they're like, well, what do you want to do with her body? And Jamie and I just looked at each other, and we're like, well, we're gonna have her cremated. That's it. Like, I mean, it's the most fucking surreal thing in the world that your kids. I think think she was upstairs or in the room over. And, you know, you're talking about your kid who's still alive there at the point, what you're going to do with their body, where you have to decide what you want to do. So, I want to go on to like after like Lucy died in a little bit too. So, but if you
Yes, for
guys have
sure.
questions, just interrupt. So,
Well, hold on. Let me stop you there then, because I do. I want you to get your piece out. But during this process, because again, I know we're talking about it after the fact. Let's talk about some reality things. The money, which again, people say "Well, it's your kid." I get that, but the reality is now life after this. And you've already talked about it. Stuff, you know, the amount of money that goes into this, and you're dealing with that. The emotional roller coaster, relationships that you had for up until that
yeah,
point, your whole life. Some stronger, some went away, and then during that, the relationship with your wife, which you already touched on, said it got stronger. But Adam, bro, I'm trying to wrap my head around this as much as I can, and I know we're just talking through it, and we're kind of summarizing a lot of the things. And with all of that being said, the way you navigated I'm trying to articulate my words here, give her the best
yeah, we,
experience
yeah, yeah.
through that,
You know,
while also holding in how I'm assuming how you really felt, yeah, or
oh
what
yeah,
you were.
like you know,
There's
so
so
like
much shit, man.
we were lucky
And
with money. My job was paying me. Jamie was using sick time, and then teachers donated more sick time.
yeah,
I retired from the PD, so I started collecting my pension. I took another job, and they were fucking amazing, bro.
yeah.
I barely worked, and you know, they knew what was going on, and we had a GoFundMe, and you know, so we were lucky,
But isn't it
especially
crazy
like
you have to think about all these things while also
Yeah.
you're being the
yeah.
caregiver for your child? See what I'm saying? Like it's
Well,
all happening at
you know,
one
it
time.
actually like helped a little. Like it takes your mind off of some of the stuff. But
Yeah.
you know, the money thing is it's funny because we were buying Lucy stuff knowing that she was going to pass. Like, and you know, it wasn't like Lucy's like, I want this, I want that. I'll be like, well, no, Lucy. Like, we'd be like, okay, we'll get it for you.
Yeah.
I so she loved the game Roblox. Okay,
Yep.
she was obsessed with it, and she would always ask for Robux. I don't know if you can buy Robux.
My
So
kids were beyond that age, but I've heard
so
other
I
parents talk about it.
calculated how much I spent on buying her Robux during that period. It was just me. Wasn't Jamie, and wasn't gift cards that we got. Jamie spent money and we got gift cards. I spent $10,000, my because I didn't want to say
Yeah.
no to
Yeah.
her. I wanted to make because
Yeah.
it made her happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She couldn't go outside and ride her bike. She couldn't, you know, do what other kids. She felt miserable, and I know it made her happy. You know, she
Yeah.
wanted this super happy face thing, and it was like I think $1,000 for Robux.
Yes.
And I remember when we said, yeah, Lucy, it was December of 2022. We said, yeah, we'll get it for you. She was jumping for joy, and that was worth it. That was
Yeah.
worth it. I mean, I was like, she wanted a TV in her room. I put one up on March 18th. She died on April 2nd. You know, she wanted a fan in her room. The electrician we use in town is a cancer survivor. And I asked him, he came over, he put it up there. You know, she wanted blackout shades because she was having trouble sleeping. We put blackout shades up there. You know, we didn't say no to anything. You wanted to get her nails done. We let her get her nails done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what are you going to do? Like, I know that like you can say the money's being wasted. It really wasn't in our eyes.
No.
No,
I'm
I'm
not
not
saying that.
saying
Please
you
don't hear
guys.
me. Yeah.
Because there's probably parents out there. Like I said again, like I feel guilty, but we were lucky. You know, we were
Yeah.
both getting paid. I was getting my pension. I was getting paid from another thing. We had the GoFundMe. We were okay. You know, so I mean, and like I feel guilty because there's parents out there that can't do that, and I
Yeah.
know majority of the parents would do that for their kid. So you know,
100%.
yeah, we never said no because it made her happy. And it was awesome to see her smile. Like, you know, just
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I didn't even think about those things.
yeah.
Make 100%. I was also talking about just reality, medical bill, all the stuff.
Well, we're
Yeah.
lucky. We were like TRICARE, even though it was fucking, they didn't do hospice. They really
They
took
stepped
care of.
up.
Yeah, they didn't. We didn't get like many surprise bills. Like her limb replacement surgery was like probably like $600,000 or $700,000. We didn't pay a single thing on it. I mean, I don't
No,
think
I
they paid
understand.
that. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
And I remember the first thing the surgeon said, he goes, "Don't worry about payment." He goes, we'll deal with that later." He goes, "We'll
Yeah.
take whatever insurance you have. Don't worry about it."
Right.
But also the
Um,
emotional roller coaster you described where it was
Yeah.
like, she went through this, she lost her hair, she grew it back, we got the scan, it's
Yep.
all clear. That okay, maybe it's almost like there's always
Yeah.
just like a light, and then
Oh,
it gets
you,
towards the end, and you're like, "No, this
do
is
you
it."
want me to throw another lightning bolt that the universe threw at us during this time too?
Go ahead.
So Jamie's mother um, was um, diagnosed in 2019. Yeah, 29 with pancreatic cancer, and
Mm.
she died in December of 2021. So Christmas of 2021, it was just me. Well, Lucy and I spent it in the hospital because Lucy was in the hospital for that week
Yeah.
because she had a fever and stuff like that. And Jamie had to go up and help her dad with affairs. Like we had that going on. So I mean, just give us thanks, universe. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make it worse. You're killing my kid now. You killed my mother-in-law. But Jamie's never been able to really like properly mourn her mother, unfortunately.
I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fucking it's a killer.
I think you only have so much capacity to deal
Yeah.
with stuff, you know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
Yeah.
her mother was hardcore, fought 2.5 years, man. I thought she
Yeah.
was gonna beat it. I really thought she was gonna beat it. Like, but it came back and and then she stopped doing chemo. She's like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to be. She was miserable, the poor woman. It was just a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So and then, so I'll go look at, like we were just buying her things. And I mean, towards the end, like we were like one of the weirdest things was hard was like she died on the second, and then like within the week or two after that, I would get like I ordered her like a Coraline doll from a lady on Etsy that came, and it was like just shit like and then you get like I would get like hospital thing that took about a year and a half before those stopped coming. Like
Yeah.
explanation of benefits.
Yeah.
And it was weird because like now so like her school and the principal and the teachers were fucking amazing. Like went all out for her. Lucy wanted to go to school and they like, we'd go and they'd call us like 45 minutes later. She's like, she doesn't want to be here. I'm like, all right, I'll come get her. So they didn't care.
Yeah.
They let her do what she want. And it was at this point, like, it was kind of the writing was on the wall. And we knew it was coming. Like it was really the last week of her life was like where she was on oxygen, and then the Wednesday, then she was on morphine 24/7. And it was just like, and here's the thing. She died on the second. We went to bed on April 1st. She slept in the bed with me, and I knew she was going to die the next day. I could just tell from her breathing. I just knew. And it like we were lucky with that too. Like she woke up and looking outside something with cameras. Sorry. Like my sister was coming over that day. She came over and I'm like, it's not good. So she called my parents, my brother, everybody came and, I texted the nurse. I remember Mary, the hospice nurse. I'm like, Mary, can you come over? I think this is it. And, she did. And, it's just, Lucy wanted to die in her room and she died in her room. Like she wanted to die, but she would, like I
Yeah.
said, in the hospital, she would have fucking haunted us forever. And and it was good. And the funeral home we dealt with was amazing. I remember it said like these are weird things. You go there and the guy's like, we're gonna talk. Like we go to the funeral home. He calls that day the day that she died. He's like, I'm sorry about what happened. I'm like, no, I understand. He's like, can you guys come in to 10 o'clock tomorrow? We could start talking about it. I'm like, absolutely. We go in there and he's like, well, listen, I go, we stopped it right there. We go, we're not doing a service. We're not doing anything. We want to get her cremated. He goes, and he's like, okay, here's the paperwork. They didn't like try and be like, well, you sure, And
Yeah.
we got shit from some people afterwards, not directly to us, but they're like, well, it got back to us like, oh, you didn't have a service, closure for the kids. I'm like, I don't know. It's not my fucking problem. Your kid, like my kid just fucking died. Suck it up. Eat a dick. Dude.
Closure for who? Right.
So
This is my
That's just
closure.
wild.
Like you get to
Yeah.
control that.
yeah, we got a little side eye glances, not from many people, but like with not doing a service or anything. We just had her cremated. We have her ashes here. We didn't want to do it. And part of it is like I remember going to one for a kid that like our union up there, the police union raised money for. The kid died of cancer. He was like 5 or something. And the mother, I remember everybody's going up, shaking their hands. It was like, and the mother just had to go in the back and cry. I'm like, I don't fucking want to do this. But then I'm going to see someone that I don't like and be like, why the
Yeah.
fuck are you here? You were
Right.
you were a cocksucker to me. And now you're going to be try and be all fucking nice?
Yeah.
No, you know?
All
Yeah, I'm
bets are
tracking on
off.
that.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead more than you want to, Adam, but
No, I don't
the
want.
life after, because stuff that you and I have talked about in just throughout the time that we've known each other, but it's like you wanted to get rid of your truck, or the way that you and your wife process
Oh
thing, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah.
You're like, I need a new truck. It's old, and she's like, that's the last truck Lucy was
No,
in,
it wasn't
or
even old. I wanted to get a Raptor, and I was looking at
just
it.
whatever.
Yeah,
Again, what
and Jamie's like, I remember she's like, that's the truck we took her to the hospital, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not getting rid of it. Keep it.
Yeah.
Her room is we left her room. We have the sheets that was on the bed that she died in. We didn't, we washed her clothes, we folded them. Her room, we haven't touched the room. I'll go into this. It's like her room is as is. We still have her bike. We won't get rid of that. We had a trampoline in the back. I sold that. I couldn't keep it anymore. I sold it right away. I didn't want that around anymore. But like all her toys and stuff, all up in the attic. We won't get rid of them. When Jamie and I die, whoever takes the house, that's their problem. They can deal with it. We won't get rid of them. We don't want to get rid of them. Like all her clothes are in her room. We did the wash the next day and folded all her dirty clothes, put it away. We kept like, there was like bath toys in the linen closet in the hallway that they stayed there for close to 2 years, and I moved them into her bedroom in the closet. She has like her Stranger Things stuff up, her Go Group posters. I don't know what she would be into now, but she'd be 12. Next year she'd be 13. We still find little things of hers around the house under like a piece of candy, like I found under the oven one time when I was cleaning, and I showed Jamie and we just left it there. But like you talked about the life afterwards, it's weird because now we have all the fucking time in the world to do it whatever we want, and I would fucking kill that to have where I don't have that time, where I can just be with her and Jamie. She died on April 2nd. That night, April 2nd into the next day was the first time in 22 months that I got a normal night's sleep, because we were always worried. Like I'm like, fuck, is she gonna die overnight or something like that? And now that like she was like, it's she's not suffering anymore, but it sucks. It's just loneliness. And it gets weird, like with how some people are, like some people are weird with it. I'm trying to think of like, we had a neighbor that we were close with, and she's a fucking cunt. That's the bottom line. She came over. She's fucking crazy. She's batshit fucking crazy. I won't say her name or anything, but the shit she's done to Jamie. They were walking. They would like the summer after Lucy died. They were walking, and she's like, oh, my life is so hard, like this shit. And this other lady. So Lucy dies on April 2nd, and our other neighbors across the street, they bought us tickets to Arizona, like first class. They gave us their timeshare, and then we ended up staying at the Four Seasons, because that we couldn't stay the whole time at the timeshare. They pay for everything. I paid for I'm like, fuck it, dude. Let's treat ourselves to the Four Seasons. And the Four Seasons was amazing. But they're like, hey, can we ask why you're coming out? I'm like, well, and they're like, oh, fuck. And they gave us like a big discount on the room, and they were amazing. But we come home, and this other lady, she's like, I want to see how you guys are doing. She comes over, like, this is like April 29th. Lucy's not even dead a month. And she's like, do you think you can talk to Lucy's teacher and the principal if they can move her desk, because my son is uncomfortable with her desk? I'm like, motherfucker, you just came over. We just got home, and so Jamie stops talking to this lady, but the neighbor across the street, this other friend invites Jamie over, and the lady, the desk lady and the neighbor, and Jamie's asking the neighbor across the street, and she is so-and-so going to be there? She won't tell her. And she's like, no, she won't tell Jamie. She won't give her answer. The day of, the neighbor comes crying across, like, this is how fucking much of a cunt she is. She's like, oh my God, Jamie, I haven't talked to my mom in 8 hours. I think she's dead. Like, meanwhile, Jamie's mother had just died like a year and a half prior and did this shit. But she knew the lady was coming over. She didn't, she still wanted Jamie to come. And then, so we distance ourselves from them. And then this motherfucker, and I mean, I'm 99.999% sure, she fucking tells our neighbor that her husband has cancer, leukemia. He's a New York City teacher. And then he didn't go to work from December of 2024 till He went back in September 2025. He wasn't working. He did not have motherfucking cancer. First off, I lived with someone that had cancer. My mother-in-law died and had it. This motherfucker was like shoveling the driveway, going cross-country skiing when it snowed out. I see him loading one time on my camera a snowboard to go snowboarding. So, but she told our neighbor, so she thought like, because we stopped talking to them at this point, to probably try and get us to come talk to her again. Okay. So she like set this up, and she's the type of person, like she would be on the rooftops. My husband has cancer. Pay attention to me. My husband has cancer. Pay attention to me. No. So, you know, if, like when you post this, if like people like, if they want to know, I'll tell them. I don't give a shit, and they can fucking reach out to her, because I've told people that go over there, I'm like, you know, she's a fucking liar. She lied and said her husband has cancer, and they're like, no, but they're still butt buddies and shit like that. So fuck them. He did not have cancer. So, I mean, it's odd. Okay, maybe he did. And if he did, I would apologize, but there's no way in hell. Like you said that, because Jamie confronted her in July of the past summer, because we live in like a weird homeowners association, and we may or may not have had a blow up hot tub on our thing. And she ratted us out to them. She complained to them. So Jamie went out there and saw her walking and confronted her. And she's like, no, I didn't do it. I stuck up for Adam. Like, what the fuck you sticking up for me for? I don't need you to stick up for me for. Like, I work for them part-time helping with the pools. They like me. You're a fucking lunatic. And she's like on the board, like a trustee. And Jamie's like, and she's like, oh, just like how Seth had cancer. He did have cancer, blood cancer. That's how she was. Jamie's like, okay, what treatment? He doesn't want to talk about it. Bullshit. Because as if he fucking had it, then the goddamn fucking government needs to be here and cloning his blood, because that's the best cancer treatment he ever fucking had. Because I've never seen anybody that like going through fucking treatment, like doing this shit, you know? Sorry. You know, I mean, and so that's the fucking, I see this lady every fucking day, and they fucking piss me off. And this is like the shit that we have to deal with now. Like outside of not having Lucy and just being miserable, it's like the shit we have to deal with where our fucking neighbors, like, and other people, but not as bad, but like our neighbors have to fucking do this. Like, I mean, and she's friends with, like, her one friend is like a cancer survivor. And we told her, she's like, no. And like, fuck you then, you know. Sorry, I get really fucking pissed off at this. And it's like,
Well, and I understand.
again, I would, this is a hill I will fucking die on. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, my fucking kid, sorry, our kid died from fucking cancer. And that's like something that's just fucking fucked up. This goes me, and again, really quick before Mo, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Suburban white woman story now. I think it was February, March. It's close to Lucy, close to when she was dying. You know, she was sick, and I had to take her to the hospital to get her blood checked. And so she's like, she wants something from the bagel place. So I go there to the bagel place, and there's a I couldn't get a park in front, because Lucy didn't want to come in with me. So I had to park, lift her up, show her what she wanted. She's like, that. I'm like, go back, lock her in the car, like, don't let anybody in. But there's an entrance to like where the place is, okay? And it's huge. My truck's sticking out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably like, if my hand and my fingers are the bed, it's probably like from here out is sticking out. But two cars could still go through. A box truck and a car could go through. I get Lucy's thing, I'm going, and some fucking woman in her 60s or 70s looks at me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, there was no parking. I got to take my daughter. She's giving me this nasty look. I'm like, oh, she has fucking cancer, my daughter. And she's just giving me this look. I go, you know what, lady, stick it up your fucking ass, you know? Fuck, you know, this is what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
fucking.
Well, I think that when you have a situation that is this, you know, of this magnitude, that, like you said earlier, rocks your world, the level of tolerance for people not being just kind to each other, and not being just empathetic, because you may not understand what Adam is going through, but you can be empathetic enough to not make it about you, like your neighbor, to
You're
get out
right.
of the way for, I mean, that's it.
Know your fucking audience. Like, the saying is like, know your audience. Like, you know, like there was like people said stuff that like, they're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no. Like, again, that when somebody would say like, how are you? I know how you're doing, but like, how are you doing and stuff. But like some
Right.
people are like, well, how, look, I'll use Tyler as a perfect example. He's been bugging me to get up there and visit him in Connecticut. First, I really don't want to go because I don't like kidding. He knows that. But like, but I told him, like, I'm like, dude, like, I'm like, sorry, bro. I'm just not feeling going up. And he's like, okay, man, I get it. Like some people
Right.
don't fucking understand it. Like,
Right.
like, like, my mom sometimes doesn't get it. Like, I'm like, nah, I just don't feel like doing that. She's like, well, I'm
Yeah.
like, Mom, I don't fucking want to talk about it. Like Jamie's
Yeah.
dad in some ways, like, like it's like, I guess it's like this old boomer fucking mentality that they have.
Mhm.
Like, so the night that, so Lucy died on the 2nd, 6 days later, she would have turned 10 on the 8th. We went out to dinner for her to the place that she likes to go. And
Right.
my neighbors thought it would be nice, but so my neighbor put like all these flowers on the steps. And my other neighbor's like, who Adam is, right? He's not going to like this Princess Diana shit going on, she said. And like, it was hard. And
Yeah.
it made me like, I was crying to my mom and everything like that. And my father-in-law was like, well, they're doing it for them. I'm like, and Jamie's like, it's not for them. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we had people like when like people would gave us like people were very generous and it was amazing. But it was just too much to like write a note. And my mom and like Jamie's dad sometimes were like, are you gonna write a note? We're like, no, we're too
No.
fucking tired.
No.
People like, and then like, here's the thing, like a lot of people who would drop off food and stuff. It's like, I understand. I get it. But we would like try and tell people like, don't have like, we have a 1,595-foot square house, okay, in New Jersey. Like they would come drop off food, and it's like, dude, like if you really want to do something, you don't have to. I would say we don't need anything, but if you want to do something, get us like a Grubhub card or a DoorDash
Right.
because we use that for at the hospital and stuff.
Right.
But people would be like, oh no, I'm going to bring a massive fucking cauldron of soup. Like, dude, where am I putting this?
Here's why I put this cauldron of
You know?
soup. So I want to ask you, Adam, because you touched on after Lucy was gone, the fact that the loneliness and how you would give anything to just not have the time on your hands to do whatever you wanted. What are you talked before? I think we were offline when you said you do go to grief counseling. What is that healing? I don't know if the healing is the right word. What does that process look like
Well,
for you?
I don't think it's like, so I've been going to this grief counselor. She's awesome. I actually got to go tomorrow night. Normally I go Tuesdays, but she had plans or something. And I'm not like, how like, well, it's not as bad anymore, but still it's like, I go to the VA. I always said that I go see a shrink there. I talked to her and she was actually really amazing, but her daughter was hit by a car in front of her. So,
Oh,
Mhm.
so she was really, really good. And I'd been going to her at that time by like 8-9 years already. So I had a relationship with her. Uh, and I was going like weekly with her. She wanted to make sure I was okay. And, Jamie goes to a grief counselor. I go to a grief counselor. Sometimes it gets annoying going, I'm not going to lie. But sometimes it's really good. It's just to talk about it. Like, it's like, but I'm weird because I'm always like, is she thinking I'm fucking like a pain in the ass because I keep bitching about the same thing every day? But she's good. I don't know if healing is a word. I don't like, I'll never like, and this goes for Jamie. I'll never be whole again. I'll never be. I always like to say it's like Alien 3. I don't know if you ever saw it, where Bishop gets destroyed and Sigourney Weaver Ripley turns it back on. He's like, I could be reworked, but I'll never be 100%. And yeah, I could be reworked a little bit, but never be anywhere near
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Both of our give a shit meters pegged. I don't really care. That's probably why I've left jobs. I'm like, I don't fucking need this. Like, do I really want to be fucking, fuck you.
I can't even imagine the perspective change when it comes to worrying about jobs and the piddly shit that people.
Yeah, now I'm looking because I'm bored. Like I just want
Right.
to, I'm
Right.
still in pretty good shape. This still works. It's a little fucked up, but it still works. I still want to like work. So that's like, because that's like, and there's a fucking funny thing. And Tyler, this is not a dig on you. Because he's always like, what are you doing, man? You're retired and everything. But like, I know he's joking and he's a good fucking friend. But some people be like, why are you working? You're retired. I'm like, bro, read the fucking room. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Sit home all day? There's only so much like stuff I can do around the house and how much the cats
Yeah.
let me play with the laser around them and everything. So it's like, and like, I still want to like work. I still like, still got a mortgage, and Jamie and I still want to travel. And like, I like flying first class now. And staying at the Four Seasons, and so that costs
Mhm.
money. I
Mhm.
mean, so listen, the celebrities don't get that shit too. I want it too. You know.
So I have a question for you, Adam, and you can tell me I'm not answering that, Monique. Have you guys ever visited having any other children?
Oh no, I can answer that, and you're not the first person. We talked about it, and and I was Jamie was like kind of like wanted to a little bit, like nothing like, but yeah, I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I go first off, like at the time when I was 49, 50. I was 49 when she died, so it would have been 50 when we had them. And I'm like, I was fucking tired already. And it's like, there was like two things. I can't go through that because goddamn every little thing I'm going to think that they have cancer. And I
Right.
said to Jamie, I will never be able to love a kid or anything as much as I love Lucy. And it's just like it would be. I viewed it as like just a replacement for her.
I
Um,
see.
I think the closest thing I want to do
Mm.
to is like just have foster kittens in the house for like a couple weeks, and then get them a good home and stuff.
I
So
only ask that because my
no,
husband lost a child, and it was a long time ago, and he ended up having other kids, but there was never a replacement, like you said. There was never, to this
Can't do
day,
it.
I know when it's hitting him. I know when
yeah,
it's affecting him. So I just always, everybody has a different view. And I was just curious what your stance was or viewpoint was on it.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no, I never wanted another kid. And that's funny because a lot of like, didn't you want a guy, a boy, so you can do that? I'm like, no, I wanted a fucking girl, man. I want to do tea parties and shit like that. Don't you want to play like this and that? I'm like, I don't know. Lucy, like towards the end, she liked fucking gory, violent movies. I showed her, she watched Escape from New York and Aliens and loved them. So like she was big into like the horror movies. Like she started with like The Conjuring and stuff like that, and then it got to like
Mm.
the gorier the better. If there wasn't a lot
No,
of gore, she was pissed off. Uh,
I can't. I'm
so
scared already.
yeah, she
Yeah.
was,
She had a perspective change, Mom.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
She was funny because I remember I'm like, she got her smart ass attitude from me and like her feistiness from Jamie. But like she would like I remember saying one time something like I got sick or something. She's like, well, now you know how I feel because I try and get cancer. And, she was like that.
I'll
Uh,
shut up now. You win.
I guess that's that.
Yeah.
so here's a funny story. So she got her like pleural effusion, I think it's called. We need the Dr. Simpson mic on to correct us. We should have had him.
Yeah.
That would have been cool to have him. She got it drained out of CHOP in Philly, and she wanted to go home. We were waiting to go home, and there was this nurse there. It was a Philly girl, like, and the girl was awesome, but you could tell that, like, I could picture back in the day trying to hit on her in the bar, and she'd be like, "Go away, you're a fucking like, just like a like strong, tough woman." And Lucy rolled her eyes at her for or something. The nurse was like, "Oh shit, I'm fucking dead." I remember that perfectly. You know, she was like Lucy had a smile. It was a character. Like everybody liked her. Like but if she didn't like you, you knew. Oh, there's another one of the cats. She she was like she lit up a room. And she was just she always smiled. Like I mean, we still go out to dinner with the nurses. I'm sorry, with the teachers. We just went in August to her fourth grade teacher's wedding we got invited to.
Oh,
I mean, I still go in and see the principal. I go in there and sit down and shoot the shit with her. I once in a while go see the doctors and stuff. We just went there a few weeks ago to drop off stuff, and it's and well, here I didn't tell you this story. Like this is just how like Lucy was, how like caring and she was at the same time. Lucy's doctor, Dr. Lori, she tells us in March of 2023, or maybe the end of February, I don't remember, that she's like, she has breast cancer. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like Jamie and I are livid. And I remember when we told Lucy that, Lucy's like, did I give her the cancer? We're like, no, no, no. I mean,
yeah.
no. So, but I just saw her and, I mean, I'm like, why, like, this is like, again, with the universe, like a thing, like, why her? Like, this is a woman that's like a pediatric oncologist, and, I know she's not in for the money, but it's not one of the, it's not like a thoracic surgeon's pay or something like that. But like, why this? Like this woman is trying her best to save these kids and she's got to go through this. And, why did she fucking get cancer? it fucking kills me.
Yeah.
I remember saying, I'm like, can I go? Is there anybody I hit with a bat that like to make you better, like to get rid of the cancer? Because I'll just go beat people with a bat. So
That'd be nice.
yeah. But like, that so like now that like the thing is it's like, I'm not gonna lie, like life, like I mean, I'm happy about it and like I'm sad. And so it's the same with Jamie. Like life sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not gonna start a pistol, I'm not that means like shoot myself. It's a Marine Corp
Got
term.
it.
Like,
Got it.
like I'm not gonna lie, like I don't know if it's selfish or not, but like Jamie and I, like if there was a fucking meteor that was gonna hit the earth, I'd be like, awesome. I'm like, good. I don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore, this life. So, I know it's kind of selfish because like you guys have kids and stuff like that, but like, hey, we're all dead, so who cares?
Well, it's kind of like the quote, the great philosopher John Wick. Why does he want to live? And he wants to live to keep his wife who died, her
Yeah.
memory alive. So yeah, I get
Yeah.
the concept of what you're saying.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I never saw any of the John Wick movies from beginning to end. How horrible.
You should.
I know.
You should.
I know.
It's part of your retirement
This might come as a shock.
program.
This may come as a shock to you, Adam. I've seen none of them either.
No, it doesn't. So it
you're
doesn't
going
shock me at all because you don't watch movies. It
You're a
drives me
communist,
crazy.
bro. You're about
No
to go
movies.
Okay.
I was just letting you know. I haven't seen them either. We're on the same page.
Didn't you not say?
Well, hey, Adam, I'm not rushing you, but is there anything you want to kind of end with, or I want to make sure we try to get as much of this as we can, but we've been.
I
going.
wrote to like some senators and Congress people, both sides, and I wrote with my my outside voice when I should have used my inside voice, to talk about pediatric cancer funding, and most of them
Right.
blew me off. And I put it in there. I said, I expect you. I'm not expecting you guys to call me or anything. You're gonna blow me off. I go because parents that lost kids to cancer is not a big voting block, so you're not gonna bother talking to us. I just wish, for the last statistic I knew was like for every federal dollar spent on cancer research, 4 cents goes to pediatric cancer research. So, I mean, it's just, there's things here that I won't talk about. Tyler knows my feeling on like, like I won't talk about it now because I don't want to piss people off. But like, I don't know. I mean, that's really it. It's now like, I mean, I'm happy with Jamie. If I lost Jamie, I don't know what the fuck I would do. I don't drink. So, I mean, maybe I would try and sleep with some young girls and then kill myself or something like that. But no.
Age appropriate girls, Adam.
I said young girls, like
Age
20-year-old,
appropriate.
30-year-old. I'm in my 50s,
Yes. There we
so
go. There's that.
I hope
I would just like to say, though, I know that we've been at it for a little while, but Adam, I want to say that I am humbled to have been brought into your world like this. It's one of these things that I can't walk in your shoes. I think that I get both, like you were saying earlier, people just kind of drop out, but I think people don't realize that when someone goes through something, they just need you sometimes to sit in it and listen, so I'm humbled that you were willing to let us listen.
I'm humbled that you guys let me vent and talk about it. I mean, I like talking about Lucy and I like talking about Jamie. If I could talk about, I would love to like Tyler knows, I would love to like tell her story all the time. Get paid for it better. She would be happy too about that.
We can work on that.
We are
Street
working
Tales.
I know, but no, I appreciate you guys letting me do this. You know what? We don't need to just upload it. I don't want to listen to it.
Okay.
I think it's fine, man. No, I appreciate.
Well, let me say this. I tell Adam this all the time, Mo, but I'm going to say it on this recording. I tell Adam it's an odd relationship I have with him because I like him as a friend, but I respect him, his experience, his pedigree. But the fact, I mean, listening to him talk, he loves his wife, he loves his daughter. You know what I mean? And he's open and willing. This is it's hard to understand because I know him now. This is a bad motherfucker. And you see that softness and the tenderness, and there's nothing wrong with it though. And you talk about therapy, you talk about grief counseling, the honesty that you share things with. It's fucking real. And that's such a rarity these days, man. So
I don't think I think a lot of people can kick my ass, but I mean, listen, I always say like, yeah, but like, I always want to go back to fight, and guys are like, I used to get shit like from guys at the PD about the Marines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you're going on vacation. I'm like, yeah, that's 7 months in Afghanistan where I talked to my wife like 10 times. That was a vacation. And I still, I get pissed off about that. They gave me shit.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Adam, don't go anywhere, but I'm gonna stop. But anything you want to leave with? This was again a tribute to Lucy, kind of what you went
Yes.
through, her life story. It's recorded. It'll be out there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. So
I appreciate you sharing, man. What a special special
you
moment,
you
but also a
always
special story, bro.
you always wanted to know, and I always wanted to tell you. I just want to say one thing. Is my face
Yeah.
really fucking red? Like I'm looking like, why the fuck am I?
It would ebb and flow with your rage.
Yes, that is true.
Yes, your rage, it would get real red, and then it would die down, and
Then it
then
would
we
go
talk
down.
about Lucy, it would
People are
calm
gonna
down, and
think
then you would rage.
people are gonna think I'm a fucking alcoholic. Like,
Yeah, I know you don't do that. You like your cigars, but no
I
drinkies.
smoked a
No.
cigar before we did this to try and calm myself, but apparently it didn't work. All right. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Mo. Thanks, Tyler. I appreciate you letting me do this and putting you out there on the Street Tales Network.
Yes, sir.
Love you, buddy. That's
Love you
right.
too.